Shalawama, Shalawama. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Astrotheology. Shalawama, Shalawama. This is the place to come learn astrotheology. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let me check to make sure we have a connection. Give me a second, y'all. Let me make sure our stream is working. I'm at zionlawschool.org right now. So I want to invite everybody to subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath before we get started. This is going to teach you specifically the same skills, concepts, and principles that the author is using as we read through this text, except for the content is Ibaryath, which is our language. So everybody go ahead and subscribe. And let me say right now, thank you to those people who have already subscribed. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. And let me check the live stream. All right, we're good. All right, we're good with the sound. So we're going to get started. Also, tomorrow morning, Saturday, every Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone is invited to come to our live online class. This is 506, the Curses course. The link for 101 Ancient Ibaryath and the link for 506, the Curses course, both links are in the description of this video. Tomorrow, Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is a live online course. The topic is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 29. And we dissect every word in each of those verses in this course. We dissect every word. We show the pictographs, the Ibaryath pictographs, okay? We go through the etymological meanings of the words, right? We look at their English meanings, both in the English language and in the etymology dictionaries, various etymology dictionaries in the English language. And we also look at grammar, and we also deconstruct the words. In other words, we show you the morphology, how the word is made, and what each part that makes up that word, the meaning that it contributes to the word, okay? And how it affects the verse, all right? So everybody's invited. You can come. It's not going to cost you anything. Make sure you read the course description when you register. You can come twice for free. Twice for free, doesn't cost you anything. Just show up, okay? All right, so with that said, let's talk about what we're going to do today. Welcome to all of you who have been here from the beginning. And those of you who have come along the way, I want to say thank you, especially those who are regular commenters. You add so much value to these presentations. So special thanks to you all. And for those of you who are new, I want to say welcome to you all. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this presentation. I do want to warn you that the author can, can be very, very sarcastic and condescending. This book is a compilation of sermons that were given between 1810, 1820, 1830s, something like that. And then these sermons were compiled into book form, okay? Compiled into book form. So in other words, I'm trying to say that the English is old style. The way he writes is old style and it's very complex. And he uses a lot of words that we don't use today anymore. So there's a lot of deciphering that we have to do, but it's fun. is really, really fun, especially when you get people like Darrell-El, Gary, Roderick's point of view, Seeley, and others. Forgive me if I didn't mention your name, y'all. Writing comments, looking up words, putting the definitions in, looking up, doing research, putting links. All of this makes for a very rich and rewarding presentation. So you are absolutely going to love it. I'm sure you're going to come back. But what I'm warning you is that the author is, kind of rough. He uses a lot of rough language, but it's worth it because you're going to learn so much from him. He uses linguistics, philology in such an expert way. Even if you disagree with everything that he says, you'll learn by his demonstration of how to use these sciences, okay? And that's what the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course is all about. It's a linguistics course, it's Ibaryath, all right? So go ahead, subscribe. Now let's get into our topic. Let me check our live stream first. All right, give me 1 second. All right, I'm gonna give it a minute before I get started, y'all. Give some people a chance to come in to the live stream. All right. So let's see, where are we? So y'all make sure you are subscribed, okay? We put a lot of work into putting this streaming course together. And we're basically giving it away almost free. Where else are you going to get something like this? So support us. If you haven't already enrolled, if you haven't bought our books, if you haven't contributed in a financial way, and you want to, and you're able to, go ahead and subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. Show up tomorrow, it's free, and you'll even learn more, all right? So this presentation is based upon the book, The Devil's Pulpit. I am going to read, I'm going to interpret, and we're going to discuss together. If anyone wants to come in and read, just let me know in the chat or give me a phone call. All right. Or if you just want to make some comments, you all have my phone number. Or if you need it, just let me know and I'll make the phone number available again. Y'all can call in and give your comments, questions, so on and so forth. All right. So again, this is the Devil's Pulpit. I will read, discuss, we'll read, interpret, and discuss. The purpose of this presentation is not to change your beliefs, not even to change your mind. The purpose of this presentation is to educate you, give you the knowledge about astrotheology, introduce you to philology, linguistics, etymology, the various sciences that the author uses. I want to show you these sciences at work and how you can use them to uncover the real meaning of what's written in a document, okay? And that just happens to pair up very nicely with the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, because what the author is doing with the Gospels, we do every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do that with Deuteronomy chapter 28. With the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, that's where you're going to get your fundamentals in order to do what we do at a high level on Saturdays, right? Saturdays, 10 a.m. All right, everybody see the correlation? What the author does in the Gospels, we're actually doing in Deuteronomy 28. But it's actually, we go deeper, right? He doesn't go as deep as we go with the linguistics. He only shows you the radicals. All right, but there's much more to it. We go beyond that. The place to get started is this 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. So take control over your education. Don't leave it in the hands of a rabbi, Moshe, imam, and all of that other stuff, right? Pastor this and pastor that, camp this, cap that, church this, church. Don't leave it in other people's hands, because you will regret it if you're not already regretting it now. All right, so we left off on page 213. We left off on page 213. All right, so we're going to start on page 213. Now, there was something that I want to draw your attention to something, okay? Let me draw your attention to something which I didn't discuss really with y'all last time, but I think I'll do it now. Okay, so give me 1 second. I think I'll bring it to your attention. Give me 1 second, y'all. I will bring this to your attention in a brief kind of way, okay? All right, so here we are in the Devil's Pulpit. This is a free PDF online. Make sure you go online and download this. This is a treasure. This book is an absolute treasure. You don't have to agree with it, but you should read it and understand it. And we're doing that for you, right? And I'll be quite frank. I would suspect that 99.5% of the population in the US cannot read and comprehend this book. Cannot read and comprehend this book. They cannot. Hang around here with us and you'll see. But I'm reading it for you. And so therefore you have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of education and decades long of education. All right. So you have that in me by coming here, and I'm able to share it with you. No problem. All right. No problem. I'm doing that for you. We're on page 213. We're at the highlight here. Here's a highlight. Everybody see that? It says, and. All right, I'm going to begin reading here. And upon these admissions, it is found in evidence. Now, remember, not in yesterday's show. Yesterday was a call-in show. Okay, but presentation number 37, I believe it was. Here, the author gives 9 points of evidence, or 9 pieces of evidence, where the Gospels admit evidence. The Gospels admit evidence that shows that the Christ figure is not the one who died on the cross. He was not the one who was hung on the cross. There were 9 pieces of evidence. Number 1 begins here where you see the highlight. The first one begins there. All right, and it goes down to the next page. There are 9. If you don't remember, go back and watch presentation number 37. It is very important to be aware of these. Okay, so we're going to pick up in the paragraph or the highlight here, page 212, after the author presents his 9 pieces of evidence where the gospel writers admit incriminating evidence pointing to the Christ not being the one who was hung on the cross. Now let's pick up this, the author's argument. We're at the highlight here. And it reads, and upon these admissions, what admissions? Those 9 pieces of evidence that I just discussed, where the gospel writers, 3 of 4 gospel writers, admitted information that is evidence that the Christ figure was not hung on the cross. And upon these admissions, it is found in evidence. Remember, the author asked us, the readers, to look at this information not from a religious point of view, not from a theological point of view, but from the point of view of the laws of evidence, as if you were judging a case in a trial, in a legal trial. Look at it based upon that. Upon these admissions, excuse me, it is found in evidence that the absolute grammatical construction of the text of both Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Now here we are dealing with grammar, right? Grammar. The author is saying, well, I'm going to show you some grammatical evidence to prove that the Christ figure was not hung up on the cross, but rather it was that so-called black man, who we were taught helped the Christ carry his cross, and that only that so-called black man was willing to help the Christ figure when none of the Jews would help the Christ figure carry his burden. Isn't that right? We're also taught that the Jews were so-called white people. So the only one who would help the so-called white leader was a so-called black man. Let's look at that further. There's no such thing as a black man. Men have nationalities. Nationalities are bloodlines. So if you call someone black, if you call them white, you denationalize them. So what does it mean to denationalize them? That means you take away their birthright. You take away their rights. I did not say human right, I said birthright. The rights that come along with your family line. Understand the difference. Okay, they teach that the Christ figure is a white man, right? So what is the birthright of a so-called white people or hybrid troglodytes? What is the birthright? Zion Law School scholars, you should know. Some of you who have been attending this presentation, you should also know. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, they don't have any because they were not given a land allotment. All right, so there's a switcheroo happening. Everybody see that? So one of the things that were brought out, I think yesterday in the call-in, and maybe even in presentation number 37, was whether or not there is a Masonic meaning associated with this, right? Where the so-called black man carries the burden of the so-called white guy. Y'all see that? Everybody see it? But anyway, now let's look at the grammatical construction that the author is talking about. Keep that in mind. Keep it in mind. Upon these admissions, it is found in evidence that the absolute grammatical construction of the text of both Matthew, Mark, and Luke, that is 3 out of the 4 Gospels, that would be 75%, right? As read as it ought to be. In other words, he's saying 3 out of the 4, if you read them grammatically as they are written, if you look at the grammatical or the literal meaning, this is what he's saying based upon the grammar rules. As read as it ought to be and would be in a court of law. So you read it grammatically or literally, no connotative stuff. You read it literally, its literal meaning. And then you look at the evidence as though you're looking at evidence in a court of law. Leave the religion out. Leave the dogma out. Leave the fear out. What fear? The fear that you're going against the Christ figure, or you're going against the Bible, or you're going, all of that Christian stuff. Leave it all out. Let's repeat. And read as it ought to be and would be in a court of law. Now, y'all notice what the author said. Who picked that up? The author is saying that if it was in a court of law, they would read it what? They would read it literally, according to grammar, right? According to the grammar or the proper grammatical construction. So now this is showing us indirectly, the author has just made the case as to why you need to enroll in 101 Ancient Ibaryath, why you need to learn linguistics, why you need to learn grammar, why you need to stop using connotative linguistics. If you have to go to court, you're not going to have a clue because you're using connotative linguistics. Things mean what you think they mean. Whereas they're reading things and communicating using precise meanings of words, the real meaning of words. All right. So if you want to learn more about this, come to class Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is what we do, and we do it very well. Let's continue. And read as it ought to be and would be in a court of law on a trial for murder is most positively and literally to the sense that, quote, it was not Jesus Christ, that's the Christ figure, y'all, JC the Christ figure, but Simon. It was not JC the Christ figure, but Simon the Cyrenian, this is the so-called black man, who was crucified. For in each of these fatal sentences, fatal to what? Fatal to the idea or the story that the Christ figure was crucified. According to the author, based upon the grammatical construction of the sentence, that's the grammar rules, it was Simon the Cyrenian, the so-called black man, who was crucified. For in each of these fatal sentences, there is no other accusative in relief. If y'all don't know what accusative is, look it up, accusative grammar, to be governed of the word, I'm sorry, not of the word, of the verb they crucified, but the accusative or objective case of the pronoun him answering to the noun. I know that sounds complicated, right? But it's really simple. It's really, really very simple. They crucified is the verb, okay? So we have to find the noun. We have to find the noun that's associated with that or that's pointing to. Who receives the action? That's all it's saying. We teach this. Don't worry about it. Come to class Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, you'll learn this in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. Go to zionlawschool.org. You'll learn this information, okay? It'll be easy for you. Just takes practice. Let's do it again. For in each of these fatal sentences, there is no other accusative in relief to be governed of the verb they crucified, but the accusative or objective case of the pronoun him, answering to the noun. Simon the Cyrenian, that's the so-called black guy. Now we see the asterisk, it reads, they found Simon, this is the sentence quoting from the gospel, this is that fatal sentence, they found Simon, him. Him is Simon, right? The pronoun him is talking about Simon. They found Simon, him they compelled to bear his cross. His cross refers to the Christ figure, JC the Christ figure. To him they gave vinegar to drink. Who's this him pointing to? It was pointing to Simon. How do I know? To him they gave vinegar to drink, and they crucified him. All right, that should be clear. That should be clear. They found Simon, him they compelled to bear his cross. To him they gave vinegar to drink. I'm sorry, that him, to him they gave vinegar to drink. That's talking about Simon. They gave Simon vinegar to drink, and they crucified Simon. Everybody see that? They found Simon, him they compelled to bear his cross, right? To him they gave vinegar to drink, and they crucified him. The author has him in all caps, H-I-M. So they crucified him. Him receives the actions. That's Simon Peter, the black guy, the so-called black guy. Okay, so the author says that when you examine the grammar, the grammatical construction of that verse, it is fatal to the idea or the story that the Christ figure was crucified. No, 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 no. According to the author, when you look at this strictly from a literal meaning, as though you're examining evidence in the court of law for serious trials such as murder, the only conclusion that you can come to based on the grammatical construction of the sentence when you look at the accusative case, right? And the pronoun that it points to, you have to conclude that it is the so-called black guy, Simon, who carried his cross, drank that vinegar, and was crucified. All right, so what do y'all think about this? Let me check the chat. What do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this? Let me see what's happening if anybody put anything in the chat. Most High Servant Michael, the Great Prince says, when is the next Zoom course meeting? I still need to send you those scams. It's 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday. The link is in the description area. So that class on Saturday is called 506 The Curses course. 506 The Curses course. Okay, the link is in the chat. Let me type it up and put it in the comment. The link, the registration link is in the chat. If you're able and willing, you please copy paste it and put it in the comment section so other people can have it in case they're also wondering like you. All right, so there you go. And the other course is 101 Ancient Ibaryath. Let me put that in the chat. 101 Ancient Ibaryath. The link is also in the chat. All right, so give me 1 second. So what do y'all think about this? The grammatical case for this. You'll learn all of that in the 101 course, the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. All right. So also, y'all, like and share the video, please. Like and share the video. Let's get more people in. It'll be more activity, more good stuff happening in the chat if we have more people here. I hope y'all find that this is good information. I hope that you're looking at it as though it's good information. The only way I have to know that if this is quality content is by the feedback that y'all give, right? So by the comments, liking and sharing. And then I know that because people will subscribe, they'll share the video, they'll subscribe to the classes, they'll show up in class. So without that kind of positive feedback, it makes me have to conclude that nobody's interested in the topic. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So I'm going off of feedback. If the response is good, then I know y'all want more of this information. Okay, so help me by giving me positive feedback if this is adding value to you, if you're learning, if it's entertaining, or if it's giving you something to think about. And if you've been here more than 3 to 5 minutes, the answer to one of those questions has to be yes, because otherwise you would have left, right? So like and share and support. Let's get back into the lesson. We are on page 213 at the bottom of the page. I agree with the author in this paragraph. He did make his case. He did make his grammatical case. He is correct. All right, let's continue. While Luke still more conclusively has the positive words that immediately upon their laying hold of Simon the Cyrenian, the so-called black guy, they led JC the Christ figure away. That is, They got him out of the crowd. They got the Christ figure out of the crowd so that he stood leisurely by. And there's a footnote. That footnote says, where's the footnote? Oh, Ibid, whatever that means. Ibid, upon seeing poor Simon tucked up in his place, he endeavored to comfort him by assuring him that it was all a mistake. Quote, Father, end quote, says he, addressing himself to old Simon, the black guy, so-called black guy, quote, Father, Simon, forgive him, for they know not what they do. Let me turn the page. Let me get the page ready for y'all. So he makes some very interesting, but sometimes complex arguments, but they're fun. It's fun to figure out what he's saying. Let me read that last sentence again, okay? All right, so the author writes, while Luke still more conclusively has the positive words that immediately upon their laying hold of Simon the Cyrenian, the so-called black guy, they led JC the Christ figure away. There's the swap, y'all. That's where they swapped the so-called black guy out and put the JC Christ figure guy in a safe place, okay? While Luke still more conclusively has the positive words that immediately upon their laying hold of Simon the Cyrenian, the so-called black guy, they led JC away. That is, they got JC, the Christ figure, out of the crowd so that he stood leisurely by and Ibid upon seeing poor Simon tucked away in his place. So in other words, the Christ figure saw this unfortunate black guy bearing his burden, okay? The Christ figure endeavored to comfort Simon by assuring Simon, the so-called black guy, that it was all a mistake, quote, Father, end quote, says the Christ figure addressing himself to old Simon, quote, Father, Simon, forgive him, for they know not what they do. They think that it is me they are crucifying, but they've got you. Don't take it to heart, Simon, you poor black fellow, you. I just added that in, y'all. It doesn't say that, it just says Simon. You know you must die sometime or another, and it is quite as fair that you should be crucified for my salvation as I for yours. Y'all see that? How many times have we taken the blame, taken the fall? How many times have we been in this same situation? Maybe it's not death, but it's some crime, some wrongdoing, and we get blamed for it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you grew up in the US, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's continue. Let's continue. And that they really had got the wrong man, that is, if they had got any man at all, is rendered still further probable by the very different behavior of the person whom they had seized by mistake from that which we should naturally have expected from the meek and holy JC. So the author is telling us, and by the way, in presentation number 37 and in the call-in show yesterday, some of the callers mentioned, callers and commenters mentioned that the author has deviated away from astrotheology in this chapter up until this point. Okay, the author has deviated away from astrotheology and began a discussion about the truthfulness of the doctrine, okay, about the truthfulness of the doctrine, the historicity of the story. Okay, so yes, that's happening right now, but notice what the author says in this paragraph. And they really got the wrong man. That's the Roman soldiers, right? That is, if they had got any man at all. So the author is still bringing us back to the fact, from his point of view, that the Gospels are an allegorical story. They are a fairy tale, okay? And that they really had gotten the wrong man is rendered still further probable by the very different behavior of the person whom they had seized by mistake. In other words, the poor black guy, supposedly black guy, the denationalized guy, his behavior is different from the Christ figure's behavior. And that they really got the wrong man is rendered still further probable by the very different behavior of the person whom they had seized by mistake. But y'all, it wasn't no mistake, right? He's being sarcastic. From that which we should naturally have expected from the meek and holy JC, the Christ figure. JC, the Christ figure behavior is very different from the man who was ultimately put on the cross. Now let's see how or if the author proves this. Where's his evidence? What's his rationale? Next paragraph. JC, the Christ figure, would have been resigned to the will of capital God, would have his death with fortitude, as knowing that it was all a hoax, and that he would be none the worse for it a day or two after. Now, I have to agree with the author on this. When I was in Christianity, I often wondered, why in the world did the Christ figure want to get off the cross, right? And then his last statement, why would he do that? Now, of course, I'm aware of the fact that many different Christian organizations, they have a doctrine to explain these things away. Y'all like and share the video, please. Like and share the video. Like and share the video. I mean, what I'm putting the work in, you know, y'all could like and share the video. Okay, if you haven't already liked and shared the video, or at least like the video, if you don't like it, or if you just want to sit here and take without giving, I invite you to leave. Okay, I invite you to leave if you don't want to do right by Dr. Yasapa and Zion Law School, me. If you only want to take, you haven't liked the video, you haven't shared, then I invite you to go. You're not the kind of person I want to be involved in. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. Let's continue. We're on page 214. And they that really had got the wrong man is rendered still further probable. Now we're dealing with an allegorical story. The author already said that. He's not treating this as historical. What I believe what he's doing, at least in my opinion, is that he's showing the problem, the fatal flaw in the Christian doctrine that the Christ figure was resurrected, and therefore every man on earth can be saved. Do y'all see that? So he's trying to shatter that, trying to show the fatal flaw in that, okay? And that they really had got the wrong man is probably still further probable by the very different behavior of the person whom they had seized by mistake. That's sarcasm. They seized him on purpose, right? Pilate's wife said, hey, let this guy go. I had bad dreams about this dude. We don't want no parts of this guy. Let him go, right? All right. In addition to, Pilate found no evidence of him being guilty of any crime. All right, it continues. From that which we should naturally have expected from the meek and holy JC, the Christ figure. So what should we have expected from the meek and holy JC, the Christ figure, we would have expected him to get up on that cross, not try to get off, not to have anything to say that did not show that that's where he wanted to be, and he was willing to go through with it because he knew he would be brought back to life in a couple days, right? This is what the author is saying. Next paragraph. JC would have been resigned to do the will of capital God. Now remember, there are some Trinitarians, and probably back at that time, probably all of them, their doctrine was that JC, the Christ figure, was the Father. They're one. Okay, that's the first thing. All right, JC, and I'm not saying one in purpose, like the modern day, many modern day Christian organizations, they have a doctrine where the Christ figure is a separate physical person beneath the Father, but they're one in thought, one in purpose. Okay, it wasn't always like that until my suspicion is that this problem is the reason why they separated them into being two different people. JC would have been resigned to do the will of capital God, would have met his death with fortitude. Y'all see that? I agree with him 100%. What do you agree with them? As knowing that it was all a hoax and that he should be none the worse for it in a day or two, right? Christ figure knows, hey, in a day or two, I'm gonna be resurrected, I'm gonna be back to life, right? That's what the author is saying. So he should have stepped into it in power. He should have been boss, right? But that's not the case. Let's continue reading according to the author. The author writes, he would have set us up an example of that faith. JC, the Christ figure, would have set us up with an example of that faith and that joy and peace in believing, which we are told always accompanies the dying senses of the faithful, right? You're believing more when you're dying. That's what the author is saying, okay? But the wretch who was substituted in his place, y'all notice how he calls the so-called black guy a wretch? I know he's saying he's very unlucky that he got snatched and swapped. But the wretch who was substituted in his place, either the chief Barabbas or Simon the Cyrene, whichever it was a blaspheming infidel and groaned out his guilty soul in the most frightful ejaculation of despair and blasphemy, quote, my capital God, my capital God, why hast thou forsaken me? End quote. Could this be JC, the Christ figure? This despairing wretch, this conscience-stricken coward, this blaspheming ingrate? Is it possible? I should rather think that it was the devil himself, as certainly if divine justice required that somebody should suffer for our sins, who so fit to suffer as the devil who had been the cause of them? Now that's true. Eye for an eye, right? What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? It should be the devil who should have been on the cross crucified, suffering for our sins, because it is the devil who caused us to sin. That's an excellent point. Let me see if anybody put anything in. Can y'all put something in the chat about this comment? This is another, and this is another good topic for a call-in. Let me read through some of the chats. Most High Service says, yes, these Romans speak double and ambiguity in language, most definitely. He continues, thanks. Syntaxing is very important, it sure is. Most High's servant continues and says, wow. Most High's servant, Michael, continues, says, the curses are real. Show enough, show enough. Roderick's point of view, Shalawama, says, very interesting. Most High servant continue, writing, it says somewhere in the Bible that obedience is better than sacrifice. And it continues to write, JC is the devil. There you go, man. According to the author, astrotheologically, not theologically, right? We don't want to get into that because we don't want the Christians to, when I say we, I'm talking about me. Don't want the Christians to say I'm getting into doctrine, but the author has stated in this book that the Christ figure and Satan the devil are one and the same, right? When the sun is at its zenith, that's the Christ. When the sun is at its declination, right, the lowest point, that's Satan the devil, the bottomless pit in hell, because you are in the high point of winter. There's more dark than light. Nothing's growing. Things are dead, so on and so forth. Excellent point, Most High servant Michael. Excellent point. So, actually following that line of reasoning, JC, the Christ figure, Satan, the devil, gets off. He gets off. Again, according to so this would be another instance where the author has shown a morality issue in the gospel. Roderick's point of view says, makes sense. In the Old Testament, a scapegoat was used. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You know, this is a very fun book to go through. You know, it might be tragic for a Christian, but I'm enjoying this, y'all. I mean, this is really intellectually stimulating. I'm really, really enjoying it. Let's see. So let's continue. I lost my place. Okay, so is it possible? I should rather think it was the devil himself, as certainly if divine justice required that somebody should suffer for our sins, who so fit to suffer as the devil, who had been the cause of them, and who so unfit as poor JC, the Christ figure, who had done all he could to prevent our sinning. Makes a strong case. If you look at this in terms of a legal case, right? The murderer should be the one who gets the death penalty, not the innocent person who tried to prevent the murder. This is what the author is saying. So the author indirectly shows another instance, in my opinion. Y'all let me know if y'all agree, where the morality of the gospel is shown to be bad, as the author has pointed out many times thus far in this book. Okay, now let's continue with the next paragraph. With this sense and reading of the matter comports the whole theory of Christian doctrine, as you will find the holy apostle Paul most emphatically declaring that the very essence and definition of gospel preaching consisted in this, quote, preach JC the Christ figure and him crucified, end quote. That is, not that JC the Christ figure was crucified. Who but a fool would have thought so? But JC the Christ figure was one person, and him that was crucified was another. And the apostle therefore preached them both. That's very immoral, right? That's very, very immoral. That's a very immoral thing to do, knowing that. So this is profound. I'm going to just read this again. With this same, or with this sense and reading of the matter comports the whole theory of the Christian doctrine. That's true, right? The whole Christian doctrine depends on the Christ figure giving a ransom sacrifice of his life for the salvation of the whole world. That's the whole basis of the Christian doctrine. Wipe that out, there's no more reason to be a Christian. The religion falls apart, right? They have no hope. They have no hope. With this sense and reading of the matter comports the whole theory of Christian doctrine. As you will find the Holy Apostle Paul most emphatically declaring that the very sense, let me repeat that the very essence, right? Essence is at the most fundamental level, the most basic level, that the very essence and definition of gospel preaching consisted in this: we preach JC the Christ and him crucified. End quote. And the author is correct. That is not saying that the Christ figure was crucified. They're preaching JC, the Christ figure, and him crucified. But this is ambiguous. What do y'all think? Is the author correct in what he's saying about what the Apostle Paul is saying? Yes or no? We preach JC, the Christ figure, and him crucified. That is, not that JC, the Christ figure, was crucified. Who but a fool could have thought so? Now he's saying who but a fool could thought so because he gave us those 9 points of evidence, right? He showed us the grammatical construction involving the accusative case, right? The objective, the accusative, the objective, the pronoun that it points to. He showed us that evidence. So he's saying, who but a fool, after considering that evidence, who but a fool could have thought the Christ was crucified? But JC, the Christ figure, was one person, and him that was crucified was another. And the apostle therefore preached both of them. Wow. Wow. All right. Okay. It's funny. I'm watching the number of people who are watching, and it's going down. I think this is offensive to people. It is what it is. It's not me. You know, I'm reading what the author has written and I'm explaining it. And if this is hurting your feelings, I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't feel I need to apologize for somebody else's words, but I do feel your pain, right? I do feel your pain, how it must feel for you to hear this information. All right. So let's continue. We are therefore called upon as Christians to have a thankful remembrance of the death of him that was crucified. That is, we are glad of it. It served him right, and the devil take him. Whereas it would have been our duty to be exceedingly sorry for the circumstance. Had it been poor JC that had been crucified, as most certainly it was not. We find too, upon further inquiry into the matter, that all that the blessed JC Christ figure had to do with the cross was not to bear it himself, but to get Simon, that poor black guy, so-called black guy, to bear it for him. Not that he suffered a defeat, but that he gained a victory. Not that he was nailed to the cross, but that he himself nailed or caused to be nailed to the cross the chirography or handwriting that was against us. Let's look at the footnote. Okay, it's looks like it's in Greek. but it's referring to, I think, Colossians chapter 2, verse 14. So in other words, the author is saying that the Christ figure didn't suffer a defeat. He gained the victory because he got to live. But then he was also the cause of someone else's death. That's what the Christ figure is saying. I mean, what the author is saying, right? So let's go back to the or handwriting. All right. Okay, so or he caused to be nailed to the cross, the chirography, which is the handwriting that was against us. That's the end of the quote. Nailing it, says the apostle, to his cross. Oh, wow. So the author is saying that that handwriting was nailed to his cross. Okay. The handwriting was nailed to his cross. So ye see, it was not the nail that was in his hand, but the hammer. Wasn't a nail in his hand, but it was a hammer in his hand. He was not the vanquished, but the victor. He did not suffer, but he triumphed on the cross. And we see the footnotes, it says, so in the indictment, that appears to be a book, y'all. In the indictment, I've seen that, yeah, in the indictment. That's a book. I haven't heard of that book before. He's quoted it three times so far here. Maybe more, but I see 3. All right. Wow, this chapter must have really made a lot of people upset. Oh, well, let's continue, y'all. If y'all ride with me, okay? Let me see what's happening in the comments. Roger's point of view writes, makes sense. In the Old Testament, it was a scapegoat used. So did lowercase God forsake himself? That's a good question, right? How can the dead resurrect the dead? Roger's point of view writes, any Old Testament, I think either Proverbs or Psalms, the Most High said he would never justify the wicked with the innocent. Yep, he's correct. Yes. So let's see. Wow, I'm surprised. Why we only got 1 like for the video, y'all? Y'all don't want to like the video? I mean, what's going on with it? Why don't y'all want to like the video? My goodness. All right. So let's continue. Let's continue. I have to find my place again. Where are we? Hold on, y'all. I lost my place. I don't know if okay, all right. I think I know where I'm at. Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah, we're on page 215. We're on page 215. That's the right side of the page. Let me highlight it so y'all can see where we're at. You know, I was advised not to. I was advised by some friends not to present astrotheology because it would turn people off and make a lot of enemies for me. Okay. I was also advised, and at one time I agreed, that I shouldn't do the Deuteronomy 29 video about the promised land being a burning waste, uninhabitable. I was advised that I would make a lot of enemies for myself, right? Make a lot of people angry, create enemies. And I didn't do that for a long time. I kept that to myself for a long time. And then finally, I decided to do it. And then finally, what we're doing right now, I was going to do as a streaming class, but I decided to do it on YouTube. But If people don't like me for this, too bad. I'm doing it anyway. And for those people who can appreciate it, even if it's only 10 people, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. All right. And if it hurts your feelings, then Zion Law School is not the place for you, because we do not deal with doctrine. We deal with evidence and with facts, with science, not with a belief system. And I'm not afraid of you, and I'm not afraid of anybody else. I'm going to do the work that I have been selected to do, whether anybody supports me or not. All right. So take that and go tell somebody. All right. Let's continue, y'all. If you're riding with me, ride with me. Page 215. Nor is it ever said in any part of the gospel that JC, the Christ figure, showed himself alive after his death, which we know was impossible. The strong expression of all being that in the first of the Acts of the Apostles, the quote, he showed himself alive after his passion, end quote. Now we see that statement in the Greek, as the Greek would have been had it meant after his death, but after his, passion, but after his passion. Y'all see that? The author is saying that in the Greek, it doesn't say after his death, but it says after his passion. And what was to hinder him from showing himself alive after his passion? A man may put himself into a passion, I hope, and put himself out of it again without breaking a blood vessel. Y'all got that? In the Greek, he showed himself alive after his passion. In modern English, or in English at that time, there wrote, he showed himself after his death. So again, that's a dishonest rendering of the verse. All right. Now, this is according to the author. I don't speak or read Greek, so I have no way to check this, but this is what the author is saying. Okay, so y'all have to do with that what you want with it. Next paragraph. And when the Jews wanted to kill the Christ figure, and actually did kill Simon the Cyrenian, the so-called black guy, or somebody else whom they mistook for him, it was enough to try the patience of Job himself. We are not therefore so to confound all grammar and words and all reason and ideas as to take JC the Christ figure and him crucified for only one person. When words cannot be plainer to the sense, then there were two, and two the most distinct and opposed that any words whatever could describe to be distinct and opposed. Okay, well let's keep reading and see what he's getting at. JC the Christ figure was the person who certainly was in a passion, but him crucified was the person who put him into the passion. And JC the Christ figure is as certainly and as clearly defined as the person who was not crucified, as the other fellow, i.e., him crucified, is defined as the person that was him that was crucified. And here again, as in 10,000 instances, you find that it is him who they call the devil's chaplain. This is Reverend Robert Taylor, the author. After all, who is the only faithful preacher of the gospel. Wow. Next paragraph. capital G-O-D, hath made me what none of the fellows as the other shops are, quote, an able minister of the New Testament, end quote. I alone, says the Reverend Robert Taylor, do truly answer to the apostolic character. I alone, says the Reverend Robert Taylor, who's the author of this book. I alone, of all the bishops and priests in this miserable, be shipped and be priest metropolis, do priest JC the Christ figure and him crucified, whereas they have run away with but half the story and that the wrong half. In other words, JC the Christ figure and him Simon, the so-called black guy, crucified. Half the story is JC was there in a passion. He was swapped out with Simon, the so-called black guy, who was crucified. That's the full story. Whereas they have run away with but half the story, and that the wrong half. They have represented him as crucified. That's the Christ figure, who was never crucified, who never was so, meaning who was never crucified, and him as dead. And him as dead. He's talking about the Christ figure, who, as St. Luke says, quote, did show himself by many infallible proofs to be alive, to be alive. Now, remember, when you're dead, you're dead. Literally speaking, you're dead. It's eternal. You're not coming back. Not coming back. Right? But the Christ figure, but Luke, St. Luke said, quote, did show himself, that is the Christ figure, did show himself by many infallible proofs to be alive. So the author, alive. The author is not saying that the doctrine does not say the Christ figure came alive. The author is saying your reasoning mind, what you observe in life, what you know to be fact, is that when somebody or something dies, it does not return. Okay, this is the point the author is making. Next paragraph. Oh, let me change the page. Sorry about that, y'all. I thought I forgot to change the page. Let me put that up. So here's the quote right here that the author is talking about. I highlighted it. Y'all can go ahead and read it. All right, so we are on page 216. We're on page 216. Let me catch my breath and get some water, y'all. Give me 1 second, please. I'm going to check the comments section. Like and share the video, please. Y'all help me out, do that. I'm trying to grow our social media presence, this YouTube channel, trying to reach more people. I want us to return and get into the blessings, get out of these curses. So help me with that, y'all. Help me spread this information. It's free. It's free. And you can see I'm putting the work in. So y'all help me out. Help me get this message out, please. One second. And have this discussion with y'all friends. Have this discussion with y'all friends and families. See what they think about this. I mean, this is big stuff, y'all. This is big stuff. Give me 1 second. This is really big stuff. I don't know how people perceive this. I can only imagine how people might perceive it, especially if this is their first time ever hearing anything about this. I can just imagine how they might feel. So let me check to see some of these comments, y'all. Give me 1 second, please. Or let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. I'm going to show my screen. No, when I show that, I can't see the comments, y'all. So let me leave it like that for a second. Let me get to these comments. Okay, Most High Servant says, might have to get the book to finding so much stuff nowadays. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm surprised, y'all. It's not much in the comments. What's happening? I'm not seeing much in the comments. I don't see. I have a question. Part joke, part seriously. Are y'all nervous, afraid to comment on this topic? Anybody feeling superstitious or a little bit afraid to discuss this topic publicly like this? I'm curious. I thought this topic is so sensational, you know. I spoke with a friend of mine, and she was telling me that she would be afraid to discuss this topic. She gets mad at me when I say this, but I call them Hebrew Israelite Christians. But she told me that she would be actually afraid to have this discussion because it would be like going against the Christ figure, going against the Father deity. So Appalachian Joel says, just got here. Shalom, Appalachian Joel. You missed some good stuff, man. Gary Tucker writes, Shalom family, just arriving. Fill me in, please. Not at all. I'll tell you what, Gary Tucker, let's see if we can give somebody Most High Servant. Would you like to call in and give a summary or summarize if you're able to? I know, or Roderick's point of view. Anybody want to call in and give a summary for Gary Tucker? Y'all got my number. If anybody wants to call in and give a summary, you're welcome to do so. That'll give me a chance to drink some water to get my voice back together. Shalom, shalom, and welcome everybody. Okay, so let me pull it up, and I'll show you in a second. I'll put my number up. Give me 1 second. I'll put the call-in number up, brother. Give me 1 second. I gotta find it, y'all. I'll put it up in one moment. Man, get my breath together. All right, yeah. All right, I got it up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show it in a second. All right. Here's a call-in number. Yeah, call in, please, and give a summary. Let's see. All right, so we're waiting for the call in, for the call to give us the summary. So let me see. You can call in now if you like. Okay, Roger's point of view says, okay, at work, getting things going. Okay, all right. Appalachian Joel says, same here, greetings all. It would be a pleasure. How do I call? Yeah, Most High Servant, the phone number is on the screen. Can y'all see it? That's the call-in number. You can call in and we can get the summary in. Get everybody up to speed. Roger's point of view, lost sound for a minute. Okay. My sound is out. Oh no, hold on. Let me check, y'all. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Call in, please, and give a summary. Mic check, mic check. Mic check. Okay, so the call-in number is 530-554-9419. Call-in number is 530-554-9419. So call in and let's get a summary for those who just came in so everybody can be with us. Okay, thanks, Appalachian Joel. Appalachian Joel writes, sound is fine. All right. Shalawama.
Yo, hello. How are you doing?
Very good. Yup, it's me, Dr. Yasapa. Yeah, Dr. Yasapa. Yeah, can you introduce yourself to, we're live. Can you introduce yourself so they know who's giving the summary, please?
Yeah, this is Master 7 from Father the Great Prince, or anyone can just call me Michael, and I'm tuning in from London, England.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I appreciate you stepping up and being willing to share this, man. Really, really appreciate it. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, okay. So what you been going with the showing so far is, well, I would say that there's been like the grammatical kind of nuances of the New Testament, and what the author was talking about here specifically was how when they said that they were crucifying him, due to, it kind of gets into syntax, but basically when they said him, they were referring to another character into the specific language which they were using, which was called Simon the Cyrenian, who happened to be a black man. So, as you pointed out as well, that reoccurring theme, black people always carry the burden, so that as well. And obviously, when you skip to the part where so-called JC is being crucified, but actually Simon the Cyrenian, he calls out to God, kind of in a cry of help, like, oh, how comes you have left me? If he was truly the Son of God, if he truly had the will of God and the Spirit of God with him, just like all the other biblical patriarchs who went through hardship, would he question if God is with him and if his presence is there? Surely not. Surely not. And even the author that goes into this very deeply and specifically states, clearly only a coward would do that. Somebody who's not with the Most High, and it's more fitting for the devil to have been crucified rather than somebody who claims to be the Son of God. And that's basically what we covered so far. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm impressed, man. That was excellent. Congratulations. That was excellent. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, that's good.
Wow, that was thorough. That was really thorough. That was thorough, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, giving all this free knowledge and free information that you might get. It's good like this to see there's a remnant, still actually looking into the Bible with a correct point of view, and this knowledge needs to be gleaned throughout the whole world, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Took me a long time to get to the point where I feel comfortable talking about these things, being willing to be hated, but
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now. I have to put it out there, and people like you, um, encourage me, inspire me, and help me keep going. To know that there are just some people who want and value the information, because most people don't, man. Most people slander me, try to destroy. Well, you know how people are, man. You know how our people can be.
Yeah, I know, man. I've had it the same. I've had kind of the same experience as well. But like, yeah, it's crazy. It's like when you know the truth, people just go just act. I don't know. I don't even know if it's explain it, but it's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Man, it's good though. It's good though. It's good that learning is still continuing. Those who are in truth, we gotta be like a family. Encourage one another to continue on and see it to the end. So, yeah, definitely keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. All we need is a small number of people who will abandon all of this religious stuff, return to the Most High, and that's all we need. That's all we need. And for those people who want to continue, well, let me rephrase that. Those of the house of Yasharallah who want to continue to follow these deities, well, they can just continue to enjoy their curses, because it's not going to go well for them over time. The curses tells us that they're going to live a shorter lifespan than what they could have. So that population will decrease, and our population, those of us who are returning, reclaiming our heritage, including not just knowledge, but living the principles and learning the language, so that we become independent, critical thinking people who can look at these verses and translate them on our own. We don't need a pastor to wrap it, So we're gonna, over time, there are gonna be more of us, because the curses require that they get sick and die, or they get killed, or meet that's Deuteronomy 15 through 28. Everybody in the audience, read it yourself. Don't take my word for it. But the Most High assures us that our population will become few. And the only way out of that is to return to the Most High. One man, one woman, one child at a time. Am I right? Am I right?
That's on point, completely on point. That's the funny thing is, when I watched some of your videos, I was like finding more things in the Book of Remembrance, which was confirming all the things which you were saying, all the things which you were like exposing per se. And I really wanted to share it on your next Zoom class if there's time.
Oh, of course.
It's pretty short. It's just like two verses, which like it was like a eureka moment. I was like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, you can present it. Give me a call after, and we can set it up. Let me see it. And you're more than welcome to do. Are you going to do a PowerPoint, or how are you going to present? Or we can talk about it later.
PowerPoint, but it's literally like just two verses, and it's just linked to I think 2 videos which you said. So I mean, I could put it in a PowerPoint, but it's something where you can just reference it from your Bible, and then I'll just explain that verse.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I would like that. Yeah, let's talk either. What time is it where you're at? My time is 10:30 p.m. at night?
Oh, it's early out here, man. It's like 3:25.
Yeah, we can, you know.
In the morning. Yeah, man.
Oh, really? Wow.
Hey, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the grind don't stop, man. It's the knowledge being shared. I'll stay up the entire day. I don't care.
All right, that's excellent, man. Well, do you want to do this when you wake up? Can you give me a call? It'll be morning time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because when it's 9 a.m. in your time, it's around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'll be able to call you like an hour before or something like that.
Yeah, do that, and we can set it up, and just let me know what time you want to do it, and we can do it. You know, that'll be great. If anybody else wants to present something, you're more than welcome to present it on Zion Law School platform. That's fine. That's fine. Hey man, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man. I appreciate you even giving me this opportunity. Yeah, so thank you very much, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. All praises to the Most High. Let's get back to the lesson.
Always and forever. All right. Signing out, man. I'll still be in the chat though, so yeah. Take care. Speak to you soon.
Okay, talk to you soon. Shalom. All right, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. We are on page. Let me go back to the document. Here we are. We are here. I believe that's where we're at. Yeah, we're on page 216. The author writes, the author continues. The author continues. For if it be not proof, sirs, and proof infallible, that a man had not been crucified, or not much hurt, and certainly not killed, and that there must have been some egregious mistake in any representation that he had been so, that is, that he had been killed, when he is seen 3 or 4 days afterwards alive, shaking hands with his friends all around, eating and drinking with them, and after supper, playing with them at his old game of making riddles upon the Bible and explaining to them out of Moses and the prophets how it ought to have been, and how he ought to have suffered. Quote, what is proof? End quote. As he says to them in Luke chapter 24, verse 25, quote, O ye fools and slow hearts, ought not Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory? End quote. Yes, to be sure, he ought, but there's a little difference. I hope between things being what ought to be and being what was. If every fellow that ought to be hanged was to be hanged, what would become of Judge Jeffries? Okay, I guess they wouldn't need him. I don't know. Who is Judge Jeffries? I think it's a figure of speech, but I do understand what he's saying. Next paragraph. In setting ourselves to decipher or make out the significancy or hidden meaning of any confessedly pagan allegory. So in other words, the author is saying, we make up our mind that we're going to decipher what this gospel story means. Are there any significant points that are hidden, okay, that we need to identify? All right, so the author is saying that this is a pagan story, but let's see what we can get out of it. We invariably begin with the severest possible scrutiny into the names or nomenclature of the machinery. Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that. First thing you need to know are the definitions, right? Definitions, and you need to know etymology. That's basically what he's saying. We weigh the force of every letter of which the names are composed. That's what he's been consistently doing throughout the book. Remember, we studied James. We studied Jacob. I believe we studied the meaning of Peter, Paul, so on and so forth. And the author revealed or showed us their radicals, their roots, right? This is what he's talking about. Linguistics, etymology, and grammar. Everything that's in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, everything that we do Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, both links are in the chat. Y'all participate in those. We go into greater depth, more specificity than the author does in this book. He's doing the Gospels. We do Deuteronomy 28, Ibaryath. Let's continue. Let's continue. All right. So what proof? As he says to them in Luke, no. Next paragraph. We are here. We are here, scholars, where the highlight is. That's where we're at. Okay, we weigh the force of every letter, which the names are composed, of every significancy, which the names could convey, and of every variation of letters by which the same name might be exhibited. Now, let me bring this back to Ibaryath. Something similar would be when we do an Ibaryath word study, where we look at the meaning of each pictograph, and then we determine what that word, the pictographs in a word. For example, let's say you have a word, any word. It's spelled, right, with a certain number of pictographs. So what would we do? We would look at the meaning of each one of those pictographs and then determine what that word means, but we'd have to reason it out. Now that's going to unlock meaning that you will never find in a dictionary. Let's continue. We weigh the force of every letter of which the names are composed. In other words, James is James, of every significancy which the names could convey. That would be their mythological meaning, their etymological meaning, right? Their astronomical meaning, and of every variation of letters by which the same name might be exhibited. Remember, we looked at Jacob, Jacobus, remember all of that? Different spellings, okay? Jacob really means James. This is what he's talking about. Just different ways to spell the same name. Of every significancy which the names could convey, and of every variation of letters by which the same name might be exhibited. In other words, the names are spelled differently, right? For example, John, John, also spelled Jon. Some people may spell it Jhon. That's what he's talking about. We compare a list. Let me go back. We inquire into the history of that name. We inquire into the history of that name, right? That might take us into real history. It might take us into mythological history, right? We compare lists of all synonyms of the name. Okay, so John, John. What's a synonym for John? Maybe it would be Juan in Spanish, right? Or Moorish Latin, Jaun. Also Iohn, Iuan. Why? Because there's no J, right? All right, so on and so forth. We trace the name to its roots. Roots would be radicals, and thus often discover to demonstration, the discovery itself being held to be demonstrative, that the name which millions of persons might have borne in its first purport was not a personal name. For example, as a Mr. West, a Mr. South, a Mr. East, or a Mr. North, whose real existence as persons could not be doubted, will bring us to the conclusion as to the origin of these terms, North, South, East, and West, which undoubtedly had no original personal significance. So Atlas, A-T-L-A-S, so Atlas of the mythology, this is the deity Atlas of the mythology, a word signifying a great labor or toil, is found in its significance to be the same as the name apostle. The deity Atlas is the same name as apostle. Okay. Now I would have to say that apostle is a title. So we're dealing with the name and a title. But anyway, I understand what the author is saying. So Atlas, A-T-L-A-S, of the mythology, that's Atlas the deity, a word signifying great labor or toil, is found in its significance to be the same name of the apostle, or I read that wrong, same name of the apostle Saint Andrew of the Christian fable, which signifies the strong one. So Atlas and Andrew, the apostle Andrew, are the same, y'all. Y'all got that? Y'all got that? So the meaning of Atlas is great labor or toil, and the meaning of Andrew, is strong one. So the strong one, great toil, great labor, right? Saint Andrew of the Christian fable, which signifies strong one, but who was no more a real person than Saint Atlas. So they're both phony, fake, according to the author, as it is the allegorical language of Saint Andrews in the 75th Psalm, quote, "When I receive the congregation, I shall judge according unto right. The earth is weak, and all the inhabitants thereof I bear upon the pillars of it," end quote. Let me get the pages ready. I'll check the comments in a second. He continues, the author continues. As you find, the position of Saint Andrew is in the scales of justice, where the sun crosses the equator at the autumnal equinox. That's the autumn equinox, when Saint Thomas, quote, receives the congregation, end quote. That is when the sun, S-U-N, personified as Saint Andrew. Now, scholars, take note. The sun, S-U-N, is personified as Saint Andrew. The sun, S-U-N, is anthropomorphized as Saint Andrew. Let's go back to the beginning of the paragraph. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of the paragraph. We'll start here. As you find the position of Saint Andrew in the scales of justice, where the sun, S-U-N, crosses the equator, okay? The scales of justice, the sun, S-U-N, crosses the equator at the autumn equinox. Everybody got that? Scales of justice should be what? Libra, the zodiac Libra, where the scales of justice, the sun crosses the equator at the autumn equinox. Next sentence, when Saint Andrews, quote, receives the congregation. That is, when the sun, S-U-N, personified as St. Andrews, enters into the constellation or congregation of stars called Libra. As St. Andrew enters into the constellation or congregation of stars, so therefore the author is telling us that a constellation is a congregation of stars that make up a zodiac sign. In this case, the St. Andrews enters into the constellation or congregation of stars called Libra in autumn, the autumn equinox. He is the balance of justice. St. Andrew, when he crosses the equator and enters into the congregation of the Libra zodiac sign, St. Andrews becomes the balance of justice, the two scales. In ancient Egypt and Kemet, the scales are balanced. In the US corporation, the scales are imbalanced. Imbalanced. So balance of justice, we should refer back to Egypt, right? He, that's St. Thomas, the personified sun. Remember that when the sun enters into a zodiac sign, the sun takes on the characteristics and attributes of that zodiac sign. Thus, balance of justice. The sun becomes St. Andrew in Libra. He is the balance of justice. He will once again give an equal length of day and night to all the inhabitants of the earth, which, notwithstanding its declining state, still depends on him for its support. So what is this telling us? In spring, there's 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. That is a vernal equinox, the summer equinox. If you draw a line, a perfectly straight horizontal line, okay, so let's say from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Okay, 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, if you're looking at a clock, a perfectly horizontal line. At 9 o'clock, that would be the summer or vernal equinox. At 3 o'clock, that would be the autumn equinox, right? Just imagine it that way, okay? So along at the extreme point of each side of that line, so in other words, on the exact opposite ends of the line, there's going to be 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. That's all the author is telling us. So the balance of justice is 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. That is from an astronomical point of view. 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. From a theological point of view, it's equal justice. Equal justice. Let's continue. He will once again, I want to make another point. Now in autumn, remember, the sun is going down, right? The number of daylight hours are becoming fewer and fewer and fewer, all the way until it gets to December 25th, 22nd. Now you're really, really in deep winter. And that's when the sun is at its lowest point. That's when, y'all notice we keep saying the same thing over and over, right? Same thing over and over. The sun is going to be at its lowest point. That's when the number of nighttime hours reaches its maximum, and the number of daytime hours reaches its minimum throughout the whole course of the year, okay? That's what the author is referring to. So let's continue in the paragraph. All right, personified as St. Andrew, enters into the constellation or congregation of stars called Libra. He, St. Thomas, the S-U-N, is the balance of justice. He will come he will once again give an equal length of day and night to all inhabitants of the earth, which notwithstanding its declining state. The which notwithstanding its declining state means that we are entering into fall and then winter, right? So the sun is going lower and lower and lower down, okay, in the celestial globe. That's all he's saying. All right, so now next sentence. While, as if to present all possibility, let me repeat that, while, as if to prevent all possibility of mistaking the astronomical significancy of this genius, you invariably find the figure of Saint Matthew. Let me repeat that. I'm gonna read that whole sentence again, y'all. I completely messed that up. While, as if to prevent all possibility of making the astronomical significancy of this genius, you invariably find the figure of Saint Andrew represented as that of a man about 60 years old, when the blood is getting somewhat cooler than once it was, standing with a saltier cross behind his back, a goniometer, or exact measure of the angle which the sun in its elliptic makes in passing over the line of the equator. As St. Paul expressly defines this old man as, quote, him that was crucified, end quote, knowing this, that our old man, i.e. our old Andrew, is crucified. That's quoting Romans chapter 6, verse 6. That's very interesting, y'all. Isn't that this verse would be here? Romans chapter 6, verse 6. All right, so let's examine this. Now remember, the sun is also JC the Christ figure, right? JC the Christ figure, remember, when the sun is at its zenith, the sun is the Christ. The sun, when it is in the autumn equinox, is Saint Andrew. The sun, when it is at its declination, which is the lowest point, is Satan, the devil. All right, this is what's happening. All right, now, while, as if to prevent all possibility of mistaking the astronomical significancy of this genius. So in other words, there's something here that's going to prevent you from making a mistake. While, as if to prevent all possibility of making the astronomical significancy of this genius, you invariably find the figure of Saint Andrew represented as that old man. Saint Andrew is represented as an old man, about 60 years old, right? Standing with a saltier cross behind his back, a goniometer, or exact measure of the angle which the sun in the ecliptic makes a passing over the line of the equator. So if y'all could, let me see if I can, give me a second. I'm going to try to show y'all, I'm going to try to visualize this for y'all. What this is saying is that there's an old man about 60 years old in the celestial globe. Okay, he's representing St. Andrews. And St. Andrews is holding a tool that measures the angle between the sun when it crosses the equator and the equator. What's that angle? That angle is being measured by this old man who is St. Andrews. This is what the author is talking about. All right, so that's pretty simple, but I'm going to try to find an image for it. So give me 1 second, y'all. Let me see if I can find an image. Bear with me. Bear with me. Let me see if I can find an image so everybody can see it. Hopefully there's something on Hopefully there's something on Google. Give me 1 second. If I can find something, I'm going to show it. Let's see, St. Andrew. Give me 1 second. Hopefully I can find something. You know, it's very hard to find images with this book. Very, very hard. Let's see. We can find something. Give me 1 second. Y'all be patient, please. Give me 1 second. All right. Oh, let me share the screen so y'all can see what I'm searching. If y'all have any search phrases that you want to recommend, put the search phrases in the chat so I can know and I'll search it. Let's see. Let's see, what is this? St. Andrew's. What is that? St. Andrew's cross. No, that's not what we want. We want the goniometer. St. Andrew's goniometer. See, there's nothing. Let's see. Let's come up with a different search term. Hold on. Let's see, St. Andrew. St. Andrew. Let's see, Saltier cross equator. Let's see what we come up with. All right, still nothing. Okay, I don't see anything. So let's try a different search term. St. Andrew. Let's say crossing equator. Let's see if we get anything with that. Let's see. I don't see anything yet. Anybody have any search term ideas? Well, we might be able to get a look at. I'm sure this is the angle that the author is referring to when the sun crosses. Let me try it a different way. St. Andrew, what angle does the sun cross the equator? Let's see what we find. Maybe we got something, y'all. Let's see, I don't know. No. I know how we'll get it. I know how. We'll just do Autumn Equinox. Angle sun cross the equator. Okay. So let's see what we have. So we'll look in the Encyclopedia Britannica and see if they will give us the angle. Let's see what we're looking at here. This is the North Pole, vernal equinox, winter solstice, summer, autumn equinox. So we need the angle, and I don't see it here. So let's close this out. Let's scroll down a little bit more. No, they don't have it. Oh, wait a minute, this might be it, y'all. Libra balance in astronomy. Let's see if we find it. No, no, they don't have it. Let's see, autumn, no. Let's see. We'll find something, y'all. Let's see. All right, so let's go back. Let's go back and see what we can find in the images and see if we can get that angle. Let me know if y'all are enjoying this, if you're learning. Is this the type of content you want to see? What's happening with my browser? My browser is locked up. Come on now. Let's get out of here. All right. Let me know if y'all are enjoying this content, if you're learning, if you want to focus on some particular aspect of the presentation that I have not considered, let me know. Celestial fear. So let's see, we're looking for the angle the sun crosses the equator during autumn, the autumn equinox, okay? That's what we're looking for. So this is December, so we can't use that. This is June, we need autumn. So let's see, we need autumn. September 22nd is autumn, right? Let's take a look at this. See what we can see. Oh, that's so soft. So here's the elliptic, and here's the sun. Now that's the vernal equinox. We need the so this is the vernal. So the vernal equinox would be over here, y'all. So this angle should still be good. Y'all see where it says 12 hours? So if we look at the exact other side, it's right here. So this is the angle, if y'all can see the cursor, this is the angle that that old man is using the tool to measure. All right, this is the angle. This is the celestial equator. Yeah, this is the celestial equator. Let's see if we can get it more clear, something that's just clear that we don't need to explain. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let's keep looking. See what we can find. All right. This is fun to me. So y'all see, this is the elliptic of the sun. This is the sun right here where the cursor is. This is the sun. Everybody see the sun right here? This is the orbit or the elliptic of the sun. All right. There we are. This is the elliptic of the sun, this blue line. Okay. And this is the celestial equator right here. So this is the angle. All right. That's the angle that the author is talking about. But I wanted to show y'all the angle in autumn. And I don't see it. Let me see. But anyway, I think everybody understands what's happening. Let's see. We'll give it a little more effort because this work is worth the work. It is worth the work. Let's see, what is this? No, this is summer. All right. So hold on, that's not what we need. Let's see. It's worth the work, and this becomes fun. You know, it really becomes fun. Oh, here's something nice. This is a good one, y'all, just to demonstrate. So y'all see this ring, this circle right here? This is the sun. This is the elliptic of the sun. So the sun is going to be in all of these places, right? Okay, so this is man on earth, right? This is the celestial equator, this blue line, follow the cursor. So it's going this way. This is the celestial equator, not the Earth's equator, but the celestial equator. So the Earth is a globe, and the celestial equator, the heavens is also a globe. It's called the celestial globe. So y'all see, this is the celestial equator. Follow the cursor. And then this is the elliptic of the sun. Okay, how the sun moves throughout the heavens, this orange line where you see the suns. Okay. All right. So this is the horizon. This line right here, this is the horizon. And of course, north, south, east, and west. Here's the sun at zenith. This is the Christ figure. This is the Christ, right? Okay, so let me see if we can find autumn. Let's see, we're looking for autumn, the autumn equinox. The autumn equinox. I'm gonna keep going down through here. Be patient with me. If y'all are enjoying this, if y'all like the topic, hang out with me. If y'all like the topic, hang out. Stay if you like the topic. So vernal equinox point. All right, so wait a minute. Let me do another search term. Let me see. What do we have here? How many degrees of longitude? No, that's not what we want. What is this? Winter solstice, summer solstice, autumn. So here's the autumn equinox. September, y'all see 12 hours. So that's saying 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. That's what that's saying, equal, right? This is the scales of justice, the balanced justice, right? Libra. But it's not showing us the angle that the sun crosses the, not showing us the angle that the sun crosses the equator, the celestial equator. But this is interesting, right? Y'all see winter solstice. So the sun here, this is Satan the devil. Okay, this right here where the cursor is, this is the bottomless pit. This is hell, the bottomless pit, right? Satan the devil. Okay, that's when the sun becomes Satan the devil. All right. Anyway, so let me do one more search term. Autumn, the autumn equinox. Angle sun crosses equator. Is that what I just searched? Let's see. Equinox, sun. Let's see. Let's see if we find anything. Summer equinox, equinox, winter solstice. What is this? Oh, here's autumn equinox. Let's see, autumn. Okay, autumn equinox, summer solstice, winter solstice, autumn equinox, vernal equinox. Okay, so let's see, but it's still not showing us the angle of the sun. But it's okay, y'all kind of get it, right? This is a better picture than what we saw before. So y'all see the autumn equinox. So here's that vertical line. This is the autumn equinox. This is the vernal equinox or the summer equinox. So here there's 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night, balanced justice, Libra. the scales. Other end of the line, this is the autumn equinox, where again, there's balanced justice, 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. Here, this is the summer solstice, right? This is the time when it gets hot. The sun will reach its zenith in the highest part of the sky. The sun becomes the Christ. In the winter solstice, the sun gets to the declination, its lowest point, and this is where the sun becomes Satan, the devil. And because there is no end, there is no bottom to the celestial globe, they refer to winter solstice, Satan, the devil, and the bottomless pit. All right. Autumn equinox is St. Andrews. St. Andrews. St. Andrews, the sun, when it comes into the zodiac sign Libra, the sun now balances justice. All right. Anyway, that's what it is, y'all. All right. That's what it is. Here's your celestial equator. This is the celestial equator. All right. Here's the celestial equator. This is the horizon. Celestial horizon. All right. That's what it is, y'all. That's what it is. Let's see if we can find something better. I hope y'all are enjoying this review. I hope nobody's saying, dang, I wish you hurry up and finish. I hope you're not saying, I hope Dr. Yasapa hurry up and finish. So let's see what else we can find. The visual stuff is more fun. You know, when he gives stuff that we can visualize, that's more fun. As far as, oh, this is nice. Let's see if it's what I think it is. I mean, this is good, rather. Let's see. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, okay, well, spring, fall equinox. See, y'all see equal daylight? Y'all see? Spring, fall equinox, equal day and night. All right, 12 and 12. Okay, so that's here. Okay, the summer solstice, longest day. That means the sun is at its zenith, right? So if it's the longest number of daylight hours, it has to be the shortest number of nighttime hours, right? So summer solstice is going to be where? Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer. So this is what? South America, right? South America. So this is going to be 23.5 degrees north. All right, winter solstice, shortest number of daylight hours. Why? Because it's the time where the longest number of nighttime hours, right? That's going to be Tropic of Capricorn. So Tropic of Capricorn is going to be where? Winter solstice, Satan the devil, right? Satan the devil is winter solstice. Fall equinox is St. Andrew. Summer equinox is the Christ. And we're talking about the Christ becomes the sun, S-U-N, becomes the Christ when the sun is at its highest point, called the zenith. The sun becomes the balanced scales or balanced justice. And fall equinox, right? September 12, I believe it is. Winter solstice, the sun, S-U-N, becomes Satan the devil. Okay, so wait a minute, let me rephrase that. Autumn starts Tuesday, September 22nd, but we'd have to check those dates. But conceptually, everybody sees what's happening, right? Conceptually, everyone sees what's happening. All right, so this was fun. This is taking us back into astrotheology. Let's see what we're looking at here. What are we looking at here? Vernal equinox. So I don't see the, so the angle of the sun actually between the vernal equinox and the autumn equinox should be the same. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. All right, I don't. Oh, let's see, maybe this is it. Because so here's the autumn equinox. Y'all see the vernal equinox, right? It's the same line, but opposite ends. 12 hours day, 12 hours night. So what's the angle of the sun? So here, this angle is 23.5. Okay, so that corresponds with, hold on, winter solstice, so winter solstice, summer solstice. So that's the 23.5. All right. So this has got to be also 23.5, but let's check to make sure. Uh-oh. Let me see. Are y'all still with me? Am I the only one here? Y'all go to bed yet? Let me see. Anybody still here? All right, hold on. Let me check. Okay, some people. Okay, let me get to these comments first before I do anything else. Let's see. Gary Tucker says, gratitude for the recap. Most High Servant says, at Gary Tucker, no problem. Appalachian Joe L says, St. Andrew's Sun Cross, St. Andrew's Solar Crossing. Thanks, excellent. Appalachian Joe L writes, think I found one on a Yandex search, St. Andrew Solar Crossing the Equator. Drop the link and I'll show it. Darrell-El says etymology of Jesus equals JE equals GE, which means earth. All right. Sus, SUS equals sub or below. G sus, etymological meaning in earth below. Oh, it's a good point. All right. Thanks for that. That's a good point. Most High Servants right. Yep, pretty clear. Roger's point of view writes, I'm still with you, working hard, but still with you. Excellent, excellent. Thanks for that update. What do y'all think about about these images? Are these images helpful that we're looking at, or is it adding anything to the presentation, or is it, let me know what y'all think so I can know what y'all like. Okay. So let's see let me take a look at what y'all see on the screen. Okay, oh man, how do I undo that? Okay, all right. So let's see, this is the sun in June and December. This is the celestial equator. Sun, okay, here we are. So y'all see the sun, September 22nd. This is the vernal equinox. Not the vernal equinox, I'm sorry. This is the autumn equinox right here. So here's the sun. So we are interested in this angle, but I don't know if the sun is, why they don't show an angle that's specific for the autumn equinox? Hold on, y'all, let me see. I just want to make sure we get a clear, I don't want to make any assumptions. So this image doesn't have any angles for, let me see if we can find this old man that he's talking about. He writes here on page 217, he writes, I'll start where he says, is the balance of justice. So St. Andrew enters into the constellation or congregation of stars called Libra. He is the balance of justice. He will once again give an equal length of day and night to all the inhabitants of the earth. which notwithstanding its declining state, that's the sun's declining state from its maximum height of the zenith, okay, still depends on him for support. So we're still depending on the sun, on the sun, okay? Next sentence, while as if to prevent all possibility of mistaking the astronomical significance of this genius, you invariably find the figure of Saint Andrew represented as that of a man about 60 years old when the blood is getting somewhat cooler than once it was. We can just forget about that, right? And just focus on Saint Andrew is represented by a 60-year-old man. That's all we need to know. Standing with a saltire cross. So Saint Andrew is represented astrotheologically as a 60-year-old man standing with a saltire cross, and behind his back a goniometer, or exact measure of the angle which the sun in the elliptic, we looked at the sun's elliptic, right, makes its passing over the line of the equator. We looked at the equator. As St. Paul expressly defines this old man as, quote, him that was crucified, okay? St. Andrew's, we're talking about astronomically, him would be St. Andrew's, okay? Astronomically, that 60-year-old man holding the saltire cross with the goniometer behind his back was crucified, end quote. Knowing this, that our old man, i.e. our old Andrew is crucified, that's Romans chapter 6, verse 6. So how are we going to find this? Let me try one more thing. St. Andrew's, St. Andrew, saltire cross. Let's say crossing equator. Anybody can think of some better search terms than what I'm coming up with? Oh, my screen isn't sharing? Oh, no. Hold on, y'all. Sorry about that. Thanks. Let me pull it up and see what's happening. All right. Hopefully y'all can see it now. So was this sharing at all? Did y'all miss everything or? So here's the saltire cross. I would imagine these angles would be the angle that the sun crosses the celestial equator. But they don't have, they're not showing anything. Well, let's see, how are we going to do this? St. Andrew. Let me add I think I already tried that search phrase rather. St. Andrew goniometer. All right. Oh, this looks like a let me, you know what? Let me make sure that I understand what a goniometer is. So here we see the images. There's nothing celestial. Well, the cross is celestial, but we're interested in the proper, the correct angle. So here's a goniometer, y'all. So St. Andrew, you would think there would be an image, right? St. Andrew astronomically speaking, St. Andrew, when the sun goes into Libra, the zodiac sign Libra, St. Andrew, or the sun becomes St. Andrew, right? S-U-N becomes St. Andrew. And this is the goniometer that he's holding behind his back. And he measures the angle that the sun crosses the celestial equator with this tool hidden behind his back. Everybody see that? Here's the goniometer. Everybody see it? This is the tool that he's using. Let's increase that. So you can see the notches where he's measuring the angle. Y'all see it? All right. So now just why it's not showing a picture of St. Andrew or the old man. I don't know. Let's see. We get an image this way. Nope. Oh, well. No search result. Oh, I know. Autumn Equinox. Let's see. All right. So nope, it's not giving us a specific angle. We looked at all of this already, y'all. Oh, well. We looked at all of these images already, and it's not giving us a specific so I would think it should actually, you know what, it's 23.5, y'all. Because this is a vertical line, this is a vertical line, so the angle has to be the same. Y'all follow me? There's no deviation away from these lines, so it has to be 23.5. All right. But I wanted to show it to you so that it's clear. But it's 23.5. I don't know why they're not showing it for autumn. All right, but the reasoning is that it's a straight line, so the angle has to be the same, right? The angles are not deviating. I mean, the lines are not swerving, they're straight, so the angle is the same. Y'all see what I mean? Take a look at the angle on here. These lines are not swerving, right? This is not swerving. So this angle has to be the same over here as it is here, 23.5. Anyway, let's call it a night, y'all. Were y'all able to see? Let me see. Did y'all see all of that? I hope y'all were able to see. Screen isn't shit. Can't type it too long. Just try asking the exact angle for the sun and autumn solstice. Above link shows the angles. I'll say this, so there's a link. Did y'all see? Okay, yeah, y'all was able to see it. All right, good. I don't see a link. All right. Appalachian Joel, I don't see the link, but it's 23.5. It's 23.5 because it's the both of the equinoxes are on a straight line. So it's 23.5. I wanted y'all to see it, but they only show the vernal. All right. Let's see. Darrell-El says yes. Whew, y'all, I'm tired. I'm not tired, but my voice is tired. So we stopped on, well, let me see if this is this where we should stop? Hold on. Let me take a look at the next paragraph. We need to stop at a good breaking point. The next paragraph says, the Saint Andrew of the gospel being none other than the Saint Michael, the archangel of the apocalypse. You have him under this name standing at the ultimo foot of the great solar arc, and so seeming to bear it upon his shoulder and giving his name to the 29th of September, which is Michaelmas Day. Let's stop at this paragraph because we're going to have to come back and redo all of this. But the author is saying that Saint Andrew of the gospel is Saint Michael, the archangel in the book of Revelation. Now, I really want to see how he's going to prove that. But it's good that we are getting back into the astrotheology of it. The other stuff was fun, but I enjoyed this much more. All right, y'all. Shalom. Thank you for spending your evening with me. For everybody who commented, thanks for making the presentation better. It really does make it better. And I also enjoy it more when y'all comment because I'm learning also by reading your comments. All right, so we're going to begin tomorrow on page 17, the first paragraph. And the schedule for the week is all Eastern Standard Time. So Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All times are Eastern Standard Time. Sunday, 2 p.m. Monday, 9 p.m. Tuesday, 10 p.m. Wednesday, 10 p.m. Thursday, 10 p.m. Friday, 9 p.m. and Saturday, 8 p.m. And everybody, you're invited to come 10 a.m. Saturday. That's tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And enjoy the 506 to Curses course, where we're going to break every word down in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 29. The links are in the chat. Make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. Go ahead and do so. It's almost free. Again, the links are in the chat. So I hope to see y'all tomorrow in our live online class where we do what we do, where we look at etymology like we've been doing in this book, but we go much, much deeper, much deeper. All right, so that said, thanks again, y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Have a conversation with your friends and family, your loved ones about the topic. Teach them. Also, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like the video and share. And let me take a look. Appalachian Joel says, Islam, love and light to all. Islam and Shalawama to all the Moors and all of the Yasharala Moors. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Thank you for joining me, and I will see everyone tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then 8 p.m. for the Astrotheology presentation.